And if you need to stop and get water, we can.
Yeah.
If you need whiskey, we got some in the back too.
Stay with the water for the moment.
I truly believe in your ideas. One of my very conservative friends, I'd say more libertarian, Shelley Winters, was a black guy. Did a phenomenal show here years ago on WAOK. But I talked to him this morning because I consult both sides. I have very liberal friends. I have very conservative friends. I'm a capitalist that's backing socialist for president. I found that my politics is very mixed up because it's pragmatic stuff. But Shelley was saying, he said, Mike, make sure that you know that Bernie can win. Make sure that in your pressing to get his ideas out, that you're not pressing to make sure the ideas are out in case he falls out of the race because he can beat Hillary and he can win this presidency. Now, this is a friend of mine who's conservative. This is a friend of mine who doesn't agree with all of my or your politics, but the ideas that you have talked about so greatly affect the community we're from. I can't say he's endorsed you, but he damn sure wanted to make sure that I provided people on the other side of that camera with hope that it can happen.
All right, let me say a word on that. What anybody who knows anything about politics understands is Democrats win when people vote.
Yeah.
Republicans win like they did last year when nobody votes, okay? Obama in 2008 ran a brilliant campaign. Not only did he win, he brought in a lot of people with him.
Absolutely.
Okay. What I can tell you is, I don't know how many people we'll have out tonight in Atlanta, maybe 5,000, 6,000 people, okay? We have brought out hundreds of thousands of people all over this country. We have more individual contributors than any candidate in American history, more than Obama at this particular point in the election, okay? So when you look at, we are generating excitement, and the only way Democrats win is when young people and working class people start coming out and voting. I think we can do that.
I've spoken at MIT this year. I've spoken at Florida State University, spoken at Morehouse. I've been on many campuses this year. Every campus I've went on, there have been devout followers of yours, overwhelmingly in my audience. Can I talk about something we might disagree on?
Let's do it.
I'm from the South. I like guns. I like guns a lot. I own guns. My father was a police officer and was a gun owner. He was a police officer. Also was a union steward, which is another reason I'm so on the bandwagon with you.
He was a union steward within the...
No, he was a union steward with the gas company after he left the police force. But I have two cousins that are currently on the police force, and that both are police union members too. So I support you wholeheartedly when it comes to unions.
Let's talk about guns.
And I don't want to, but guns. And I'm not saying I disagree. I say we may. I represent a group of people only 50 years into freedom. I represent a group of people who are being killed by the people who their tax money pays. I represent a group of people who are in urban areas because of poverty and because of being ignored by government in places like Chicago. Certain areas have become pockets of violence, less violent than 20 years ago. But it's certainly harder if I'm a husband and a father and a homeowner, to defend my homestead in case of things. What is your true stance to guns, speaking to my community directly now, because we have a different view of gun ownership where I'm from?
Okay. Well, my state, do you know how much gun control there is in the state of Vermont?
How much?
None. Virtually none. Okay. In my state, what a gun means is you go out hunting. A lot of people hunt.
Here too, absolutely. I got some deer meat in the freezer.
All right, let's sit down and eat it.
We should.
All right, so you got a lot of hunters. You got a lot of guys who do target practice. You got a lot of gun shows, people looking to antique guns and stuff like that.
And I know you want to close those loopholes.
Right, all right, so here's the story. Do people have a right to own weapons? Of course they do, okay? But what don't people have a right to do? Should somebody who has a criminal record or has a record of beating up his wife, should they be able to get a gun? I don't think so. All right. So what you need is enforced and strong instant background checks. Do you got a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
And Bill O'Reilly can't own a gun, so that's good. Because we know what he does.
Yeah, all right. So instant, this guy's trying to get me into real trouble here, I can see that.
I wanted you to be my president.
All right. And all right, so you got instant background checks.
Gotcha.
Question, this was where we may disagree. All right, some guy walks down the street with an assault weapon, military weapon. Is he a right to have that gun?
I say yes, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I really believe the part of the Constitution that says that's our last defense against tyranny. I believe that if you're involved in the voting process, that's your first defense against tyranny, to be actively and politically engaged. And I definitely believe, because I represent a group of people that's only 50 years into freedom. And I also represent a group of people where, if we judge by the last 2 years, it's okay to shoot them down in the street, whether you're an officer or not, based on the Zimmerman case down in Florida. And I don't want the people I pay to be able to own something I don't. And I do also know this about assault weapons or military-grade weapons. The AR-15 replica that I can buy from a Walmart is not the same thing a servicemen use. It's not fully automatic. I don't have oftentimes the magazine capacity they will. And more likely than not, I'm not going to be engaged in a situation where I'm actually using it, so I don't see the need to ban it.
Well, that's one we disagree on.
Okay.
All right.
Respect.
All right. Next one, the gun show loophole.
Yeah.
All right. I think we got to end that.
I can't get mad at you for straw purchasers.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I can't argue.
So the gun show loophole is a way to avoid the instant background check.
It is.
And then you got another one is with the straw man situation. You go in there, you're perfectly legal, you buy 20 guns.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're giving out to...
I can understand closing
That's
the
it.
loophole.
Those
Absolutely.
are my views.
Absolutely.
That's it. So we disagree on assault weapons.
We do.
All right, that's fine.
That's it.
All right, but
can
I
live.
think what I want to do is to try...
And let me say this. That doesn't jump me off your boat. For people who may see this conversation, that's not enough to get me off the Bernie Sanders bus. And I just like other gun owners to know that.
Right. All right. So, I have gotten criticized, as you may know, by my opponents that I'm a hack of the NRA and all of that stuff, and that's cool.
And I'm an NRA member, and
right.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for you.
Okay. So that's where we are. All right?
They didn't send that question either. And I'm not a fan of Wayne LaPierre. Yeah. More of a fan of Colin Noor, the black guy they got over there. They got a great token black guy. He's a lawyer, he's young, he's smart, he's progressive. He probably may be secretly voting you. I hope he is. So, thank you for your honesty and your candidness on that, because I know that's another one of the things that people hold up to try to get people to be afraid of you. And after I read up on your stance, I pretty much knew it was liberal enough for me to say I could still go with this guy, because, what happens if assault weapons do get banned? At the end of the day, it's still one of the only countries in the free world where citizens are allowed to own guns. And that's something, as I do travel through Europe and places like that, that's one of the questions I get. I get two questions. I get, can you guys own guns for real? And yeah. And then I get, do you know Gucci Man? You probably don't, but kids always want to know if I know Gucci Man. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to have you in this city. I hope that this city, with the legacy of Dr. King, I figured you already went. We're looking at the top of Ebenezer Baptist Church there, not the historic one, but the new one. Reverend Warnock may be running for Senate. He's the only minister whose church I stumble into a couple times a year, because he preaches the same thing that you are doing politically, social justice. And I'd be interested to see more preachers from my community talk about social justice. I think that during the Bush years, somehow they got caught up in federal money. And I think that without the black church, the black community politically is suffering, because the black church used to serve as a place where organizing happened and organizational tools were taught. And, again, I hope the black church kind of gets with your campaign also. I hope they see that the things you're talking about are the things that the biblical Jesus talked about. Look at your face. No, yeah, that's not it.
Now you're going into another area.
But it's the truth of it. You can't call yourself, and I'm not a religion. I'm the guy in the back of the room smoking a joint, saying, I wonder if anything is really out there. I'm the guy that's just watching as much Carl Sagan as probably my Christian neighbors are watching Joel Osteen. So I can't promise you that I have faith in any of the three major Abrahamic religions in that. But I do know the philosophy of Jesus has so touched my community.
Do unto others
as you would have them do unto you.
That's about it.
So I hope that the church from my community gets behind, because what you're preaching, social justice, is what they're talking about on Sundays.
That is right. All right.
I know you're hungry. I'm not going to keep you here all day. We probably should grab food. I hope, and keep talking on some candid stuff.
Okay, this is great. I really enjoyed it. All right, we're going to continue this conversation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.